Hey there, it's Bill Herman on DJNTV, and tonight it's the Presenter Spotlight. What is the Presenter Spotlight? Well, today and lots of the days before February, on the 26th, we're going to be having a bunch of interviews with people that are going to be speaking and training at the DJNTV show coming up February, I believe, 24th to the 26th. That's correct. In Las Vegas at the South Point Hotel. And Conference Center. They're going to be doing it in conference with the Photo Booth Expo. So if you're going to the Photo Booth Expo anyway, here's a great opportunity to see some great speakers and to get some more interesting perspectives on your business. Anyway, this spotlight that we do on a regular basis speaks to the speakers and the presenters and the trainers. And today, I'm talking to an old friend, Mr. Jason Jones. Jason,
hey,
brother, how are you?
Hey, Bill. I'm excited to go to South Point. You know why? The very first conference I went to, first Mobile Beat conference, was at South Point with you.
That was the one?
Yeah, and that was the one that made me think that Vegas hotels smelled nice. and then after that, I was like, what is wrong with this place? Like every other place after, and then finally the ashtray that's the rib, it's like, oh, how do we end up here?
That's, hey, one of the things you love about Vegas, right? You go right back to your nicotine love.
Right? Yeah. It's like all around you. Yeah.
So Jason is going to be speaking and presenting. He's going to be presenting, and then he's also has a mastermind class happening on Wednesday from 1 o'clock until 4. And if you'd like special tickets for that, you can go to djntv.com/tickets. And at the bottom of all the presenters is Jason's. And you pick that one, and it's only $99, and you get 3 hours of really specific training on what he's calling the sales conversation. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, those people who have never met you before, let's kind of start with from the beginning. Where are you from originally?
From the beginning. I'm from the flatlands of North Dakota in the very beginning.
On purpose?
Yes, I was born by the tree, as we all were. And it was a magical day. I don't remember it, but I was told. It was cold.
Okay, great. And you grew up there?
I did. I spent a lot of years DJing up there, actually.
How did you get even started doing that?
Well, funny story is that I couldn't get any girls to dance with me at the dance, so I thought maybe if I was the guy on stage, they'd be interested. And guess what I found out? They weren't.
Not true at all.
They still were not interested. In fact, they were really more annoyed with me because I wouldn't play their song. And it's like, well, no, if I kill the dance floor, let's see, make you happy, kill the dance floor. I think I will opt to make you unhappy. But I fell in love with being in business. It was the very first business I ever got into, set me off on an entrepreneurial run for life. It was amazing. So I did radio and I did mobile events. I crisscrossed that state of North Dakota. And here's the funny thing is that the other person in my town that was also a DJ, I patterned what I did after what he did because I thought that's the setup. That's how you should set your stuff up and how it should look. So I had a console with legs so I could sit in a chair behind my console and perform. Now, do you want to know why I thought I should sit in a chair?
I think I know why, but I'd love for you to say it.
Well, the reason is that the other person in town was in a wheelchair. And he couldn't stand. He had to have a sit-down table. So that didn't even occur to me to think, do I want to stand? I thought, no, he's a DJ. DJ sit. And so I sat just like he did.
Wow.
That was a problem because then people couldn't differentiate us.
Of all, I see now I know that's the guy that's trained everybody else.
No, I think just me.
So was it you were doing parties first or radio or was there a chicken and egg moment there?
No, it was radio was always in the plan. And it was always in the plan to do radio.
Okay.
But I just started DJing in high school and then I just kept it going, kept doing it. And then that just turned into all kinds of things. It was radio for a lot of years. I had the good fortune of having a #1 rated morning show in Duluth, Minnesota on an oldie station. That was a lot of fun. And then I went to WCCO in Minneapolis and did that show for a while. And then I met you and I thought I should get back into DJing again. And then I got back into it and realized, wow, a person can make this into a real business. Spent a lot of years doing that. We created the entertainment experience. I did comedy variety shows. I did so many different things. It's really unreal. And with all of that entrepreneurial spirit
and from business to business to, I mean, the first thing you began with really was to make money doing it as a business, even though maybe as a boy you didn't really understand all the nuances, but you were always working for yourself, except for maybe in radio. But even that, it seems like you used that to feed the bit, to be able to be your own boss, right?
Well, it's what the DJing did for me is that I had gear and I had music and I knew how to get gigs. So like any employer I'd have, it'd be like, well, screw you if you're going to be a jerk. I was never afraid. What will I do if I lose my job? Well, I'll pick up my gear and I'll go find a gig somewhere. It was like, it's kind of like, it was like security, and my mom was like, it's always good to have a fallback, so, cause like, that's why she always thought I should be a teacher.
Hoping for?
What?
Was that the fallback she was always hoping for?
Oh, yeah, no, teaching was, but.
Oh, really?
Yes, but when I went to school for that, I thought nobody wanted a C average English teacher, and the places that did, I probably didn't want to work. So I thought, well, you know what, entertaining at parties is more my thing than reading Thoreau and expounding on,
Right. Well, and you had always been a single operator, right? You never really worked out to have a big bunch of people, did you?
I tried that, but it didn't work out quite like I'd planned. So.
I would love for you. I know a little bit about your history, so I don't necessarily want to tell it, but there is one bit of it that I think everybody, a lot of people would love to hear is tell us about your first sound system and how it grew, and especially you can end with your light design and your lighting system. Can you tell a little bit about that? Because it is one of my favorite things. And still to this day, every time I hear about it, I think to myself, that's got to be unearthed someday.
This is an old DJ origin story is what this is. Okay, so the very first gear I rented for the very first gig that I thought because I didn't have music when I did my first gig. I didn't even have equipment. So I rented a pair of MTX speakers with built-in, I think they weren't 18-inch. They were like about 16-inch woofers, 2 tweeters, 1 horn, They just stand them on the stage. They're pretty square, boxy things. The big amp. And then I thought it'd be cool to bring in all my home electronics so I could see them all flashing before my eyes as I performed. And so I did. I set up amongst all of my gear. There was like a giant web of spaghetti that came out the back of all these things hooked together as if I was at some power station somewhere or trying to rebuild the Millennium Falcon to get out to the next galaxy. And so that was that. And that was like really, really cool. And that culminated into like, oh my gosh, well, I'm going to charge more and I'm going to do lights, right? Because you got to do lights. So then I rented theatrical lights and I was putting on these giant poles, giant Fresnel lighting and ellipsoidals, running these huge cords to this board. It was insane. The setup took me 8 hours, but I didn't care because it was going to be an amazing show. And my most genius thing is that I had my uncle build I wanted to do, how at concerts they put the white lights on, bah, bah, and everybody goes nuts when they see the white lights, and I'd like everyone to go nuts when I turn on the white lights. So I set up two boards, and each of them had light sockets, 4 on each side, and I put 320 watt spots on all of those. So that was what will take 320 watts times 8, and that's what I had lined up. And then it was like, well, how do I get them to flick on and off like with the beat of the music? And then I remembered I had an old light organ. Do you remember the old light organs?
I do.
Yeah, for those of you listening that don't know a light organ, basically it was a light that went on the wall that was like 2 different colors, and it would just pulsate on and off, corner-wise to the rhythm of the sound of the music as it would go. It's just a very on-off thing. And my uncle said, well, gosh, I can give you a switcher that goes on the top of an outdoor light that tells it when to turn on and off based on daylight and nighttime. So we'll put a bulb in a box with the sensor. See the genius here? So, and then we'll have a little door that really indicates how much light gets into that sensor to turn it on and off. So I was all excited. The big moment was coming. I had them all lined up on the stage, and the finally a hard enough beat hit, and it went boom, and the lights went, and they stayed on, and everybody went, ah! And they went from the side of the gym where I was playing all the way to the other end of the gym shouting, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. And I was out. I didn't just turn it off. I couldn't do that. I was committed. So I got down with my little lever, and I was like, I got to get the light just right, and then they will flicker. They will work like the concert. This audience will love it. And they're screaming, turn it off. So I was like, fine, I'll turn it off. I don't know if I said that out loud, but that's what I was thinking. So I turned it off and I thought that must be tweaked. So that was my foray into lighting. And amazingly, I still got another gig at the school. I don't know what they were thinking. Let's give it a go. And so that ultimately, though, built into this this design that my electrician uncle and dad helped me do, and we perfected it to where we came up. I had two old PV light organ style dimmer packs that would actually flash the lights based upon frequency from high to low on 4 channels, 4-channel high, and then the mid-range, and then the low. So you'd get this beat would be going, and then the other things would kind of join in and things like that, almost like an equalizer-like effect. Mm-hmm. So we had coffee cans, and we rigged up the bulbs.
You had what?
Yes, we had 16 coffee cans.
You used, I
had 32, I think, because there was 8, 8, 8, 8. 8 times 4 is 32.
Okay, so but actual cans that you put coffee grounds in.
That was their previous use.
Not coffee can lights you can buy. These are actually made out of coffee cans.
Yeah, I was reusing aluminum or tin before it was cool.
Okay, great.
Yes, like I was the first green DJ. Okay, the only thing could have been greener is if I actually generated my own electricity.
Right.
Methane, yes, but my own electricity, no. Okay. So there were 32 of these lights, and they were banked, and each one of the 4 was randomly, or not randomly, but sequentially put into one of the channels. So each channel had 8 lights running on it, basically, in a sequence. So it would just be this whole lighting thing. And the best part is that at the end of the gig, when I was packing it up, people would go, "Huh, those are coffee cans." And I'm like, "Yep. They didn't look like coffee cans up there." Well, when it's dark and it's up, it's like, who's looking for the can, right? So it was my coffee can light show, and it was great. And I included, and I had to have an amazing light show, right? So I got 2 lasers, fog, mirror ball. I had 2 strobe lights.
You had lights made out of coffee cans, but you spent the money on actual lasers.
$2,000 a piece on lasers.
But you wouldn't get an actual real theatrical light. You had to make one out of a coffee can.
Well, it was actually more efficient because they were all in banks. They were in banks of 8, so I could just stack them into boxes and go.
Oh my God, that's so great. That is the greatest thing ever.
If Colorado Light and Sound had discovered that design, they would have stolen it years ago, and they would have been mass producing them all over the place. And I would have went, "Hey!" No, I don't know. They don't steal designs. Colorado Light and Sound has great designs, and they don't steal. I was just making a joke.
As much time and effort as it took to put into that thing, and even though it was long ago, I would really love to find out if that system is still out there, like stored away somewhere. I can't believe anybody would have found it and like tore it up or thrown it away. I mean, it's just amazing.
I don't know. I'm sure it got trashed somewhere. I sold it to my friend in Nebraska, and he sold it to somebody else. Because I actually went like, "Hey, did you sell that?" I was going to get it back, like put it in my garage. One of those things that it's like, I shouldn't have sold that. Anything to kind of keep around, right. Like especially since my uncle and my dad built it, were such a part of that. Yeah. Oh well.
I love that story, and I know for a fact that it resonates with a lot of guys that are in the business now and or have been in the business forever. I think most of us started out doing the DIY thing. There's very few guys, I think, that went, "I'm going to get a bunch of money and get all the most professional stuff and then begin." I really think we were all doing DIY, and that's just one of those great stories I thought people would really get a kick out of. So now, since that time, because of your work as an entrepreneur and the different businesses you've been a part of, including helping with beginning the entertainment experience workshops, and you and I worked together on that. When we first met back at a DJ association meeting in St. Paul, Minnesota, near the airport, and got to know that we had a very similar origin stories from our backgrounds as boys into radio and things like that. We became close friends, and you helped me to begin the entertainment experience, and thank God for that, because I don't know how that would have ever started if not for your input. And then you've done other things beyond that with quite a lot of success, and I think a lot of it has to do with what you know about, or at least your perspective around sales. And you talk about it as a conversation. You and I both talk about it as a conversation, a sales conversation, and that's something that you've taken with you to different companies and to different kinds of businesses outside of our industry. And now we're able to bring you to the DJNTV show to discuss the work that you've done and the perspective you've created around sales, not only just for the DJ world, but for the world in the world all over. So can you give us an idea of kind of where that was born and what now, give us like maybe a taste of maybe what they might be looking at so that they can get excited as I am. I mean, I want to sneak away and be a part of your workshop as well. Even though you and we talk the same language anyway, I would love to see it. And I know for a fact, anyone who gets a part of this is going to get a lot out of it. But from your words and from your mind, I'd like to hear, what is it that we can talk about? Oh, look, you're going to be
my son wants some Cheerios. See what happens when you don't feed them?
That is the greatest thing ever.
All right, see the future.
Who do we have? Hey, how you doing, buddy?
That's Hugo. Can you say hello?
Hi, Hugo.
Okay, now go upstairs and ask Mom to put some Cheerios in a bowl. Ask your mom. All right, look at that. See, I sold that.
There you go.
There he goes. Talking about sales. Hey, you and I talked, Ryan Berger and Mike Bonacorso, and letting us do our crazy idea at Mobile Beat to go off on a gigantic freaking limb, Mm-hmm. And it worked, thank goodness.
I remember.
Yeah. So, no, well, it really began when I was starting to sell the experience to corporates and weddings, right? Because we were selling something that people didn't know they wanted. Mm-hmm. And then once they find out, they talk to you and go, I want that. Do I believe you can actually do that? Because I've never seen anybody actually do what you're saying you can do, and there's like all this going on to get to let's consider this idea, not even a yes or no, right? And so it was like, that's a really steep hill to climb.
Well, especially when they show up thinking that they already know what you have as a product before you begin.
Yeah, they have an idea of what they're buying. And then you go, hey, look at this. And they're like, that. Oh, well, I never thought of that. That's an option. That's a thing. Other people do this. Like, it's like major, like all that has to be worked through before you can actually then get. So do you want to invest $5,000 to $10,000 into this that you budgeted $1,200 for? Uh-huh. Like I don't know. Do we? I think maybe we do. I don't know, and so it really began there. And it's like, how do you get good at that and handling that conversation that goes way beyond just like, do I dare ask for the business or don't I ask for the business? So it really began at like looking at how is that conversation and how is that conversation going? And I didn't really get the big aha moment until after I had gone through coach training, and I started actually coaching in my sales conversation, asking a lot more questions, really understanding them a lot better, really understanding what's important to them, what they're motivated by, those kind of things, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really figured out the big problem that I've been having too much is that like I ask my questions and I go, okay, now listen to this. And then I like give them the thing, right? And then if they don't buy, I think, well, the thing must not have been good enough. My talk wasn't that good. And so when I found out, it's like, the talk was probably fine. It's just that you overwhelmed them. You lost them. They lost interest. You weren't talking to what mattered to them. You were guessing, all of that. You were being your results are totally random out of that. So it really began there. And it was a few years ago when I was spending some time coaching people in other businesses, because I thought, well, maybe this is a DJ thing. This is just trying to sell, because it's like people, they go, I just want a DJ. I don't want that. And how do we communicate? And that's like, maybe it's things that are more ordinary, like graphic artists and videographers and things like that would be clear. It's easier for them. And I found it wasn't. In the coaching that I did, everybody did it great with everything. They did the lead generation. They would do all these things to get meetings, and then they would choke in the sales meeting time after time after time. And I'm like, why is the sales conversation so hard? We talk all the time. And so then we did the research, me and my team, we looked into it, and we really looked into the science of it and the brain science and that sort of thing, and really looked at like what needs to be in place for someone to actually be able to say yes. And what needs to be in place is they need to be confident, they need to be empowered, and they need to be at choice. And that most of the ways that we're conditioned to behave does not do any of those things. It really doesn't. Because it's like when I just start telling you all about my service bill, I feel good about myself. I feel more confident, and you over there are just kind of like, well, deciding what do you think about it? How do you feel about it, sort of thing. And so the likelihood, it becomes really random that you will get excited and come along with that. So what we did with all of our research is discovering like all the behaviors that got in the way of an actual successful sale. We started to look at what are the behaviors that will actually increase the likelihood of that sale. And that's where adaptive conversations for selling came in. Because it's a method and a means by which to really connect, to really know and understand the person that you're in front of, to really be clear on what motivates them, what's important to them, and what would motivate them to buy, and what is important to them. So you can speak to that as you're speaking to solve and carefully not overwhelm them. And so we put those behaviors together into a process. And that is what's become the adaptive conversation for sales. The people that have been using it have been like raving about like, I didn't know that selling could be this easy. One of the coaches in my mastermind group just the other day just told me that he was like, I really like my sales conversations now. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I do. I really enjoy them. It's like a whole discovery session, and I feel like I'm empowered and I'm making a difference for them, and that it's a great experience. And it is. And his close rate is going up like crazy. More and more people are saying yes because of the way that he handles the conversation. And this goes beyond, hey, ask questions, care. Those things are like, it's kind of like you didn't know lawnmowers existed. And I said to you, well, just mow the lawn, Bill. Jeez. Okay. How do you do that exactly, right? It's like, just care. Okay. Or just people who are the old saying, what you've heard it said that, people buy from people they like. Right. So have you done that? You go out and make a bunch of friends, but nobody buys from you. They just want to go drink with you, right. And they don't want to buy. So what the hell? It's like things in isolation, like, don't actually make a difference, because there's a whole spectrum of things that are into play that you can practice so that people just have a really great buying experience with you.
So what you're saying is that with, like you said, all those things, like they got to like you, they got to trust you. These are all big esoteric ideas. But what you're saying with your sales conversation is you have come up with actual steps to put people there. It isn't just that you tell me to go out and tell people to like me. You have science and steps to be able to get people to like you.
Yeah, well, yes, really. I mean, everything that we've put into this is really validated by the science, what the science has demonstrated from cognitive behavioral science, all those things in terms of cause and effect, like the things that I can do to set off your fight or flight, or the things that I can do in the conversation that actually increases your level of trust, gets feel-good hormones going on, gets you into the executive functioning where you're like, you can really consider new ideas. You're in a space of trust, and the great thing is it's not complicated. This isn't going to be just learn our 32-step process, memorize it inside out and backwards, say these words exactly upside down in your head, and you will clearly get more sales than you got before. Yeah, it's nothing like that. It's like, it's actually simple. It's fairly organic. That's why the feedback we get later is like, gosh, this is a lot easier than I thought, right? Because there's the other element to where when so many people, how many times do you talk to somebody that is being successful at selling and you're like, wow, you're a really good salesperson. They go, oh no, I don't sell. I don't sell anything. Have you talked to people like that? No, I never sell. People just buy from me, right? Which you're like, that's the weirdest thing in the world to say.
Right.
But what they're saying is that I don't push people into a sale. I create a great buying experience with them, and we have a great experience together, and then they buy. Right. And when people say I don't sell, that means I don't push on people, because I don't like being pushed on, and I don't want to be that pushy person. And, all this is in the space. And this is what we've always associated with sales. And honestly, the era of push, if you want to be on a losing track, just keep doing push tactics. Just keep driving on that, and you will soon be starving. Right? It's like, if you want to get ahead and get more referrals, more people I have had people refer me that only did a sales meeting with me. In fact, I have moved to charge for my sales meetings now. They're strategy sessions. They're $200. And people that, if I get referred, somebody refers me for one, I say, well, since you were referred by Bill Herman, I will give it to you for free because of my relationship with Bill. I value. It's like, oh, great. It's a thing of value, right? And then out of that, because I had to discover what's valuable that they get out of meeting with me in that sales meeting. What's the value that I can?
I think that's a very interesting distinction too. We have a value of our sales meetings. A lot of guys that say, well, I don't meet people on the phone. I have to have them face to face. And I'll say, oh, I get that. So what I don't understand though is why you're doing that. And oftentimes it's because I close more. I close more because I am having a meeting face to face. So now they're getting something out of it. There's value for them in it. So what you're talking about somewhat is to how to create value, not only for you, but for those people as well, which helps to create this experience that they don't feel like they're buying anything. They just feel like they've been giving something that they now want to get more of.
Yeah, like you could sell a wedding experience design session for 3 hours with a prospective client where you do just exactly what you do at a sales meeting anyway, which is dream up and design verbally what would be possible for them that day and then go, well, do you want to do it together, right? And so them getting that design is invaluable. That's incredibly valuable, right? Them paying for it changes the way they think about it too. And so
the next question that somebody might say though is, okay, so now I have a design thing that you would like from me and it costs a certain amount of money to have it. Now, how do I get those people to just want that? You know what I mean? They're going to hear from you or they hear from me when I talk about the same sort of thing. And they say, well, okay, but they called me, and on the phone, the first thing out of their mouth is, well, how much are you? Are you available in the state? And what's your packages? And what we're I don't really want to answer those questions. I want to get them to a place where I can do what you just described. Where does what you described to actually begin? And then how does that conversation start? And does what you're talking about, does it answer that question? How do I get them from point A to point B from point B to point C?
Well, it's how you get them from the first conversation that you have to the closing conversation, to the choice, to the yes or no. It's to get them from there to there. And, and there are certain different aspects of it, and where I focus in on the sales conversation is, because out of this, people will often say, great, how do I get lots of leads in sales meetings? I'm like, ooh, different workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one, though. You definitely want to work on it. You want to have as many sales meetings as possible so that you're not like, oh my gosh, if I don't get this one, right? So they're not feeling the energy of need, which we all like, okay, don't be needy. Don't be needy. Oh, I need this one. Don't be needy. Mm-hmm. And so, and this also isn't necessarily like, we can certainly talk about questions that can engage to move people from email and text to having an in-person conversation and talk about more about kind of what goes into that. So the key thing is that you want your people, you can't you're not going to be able to impress them into wanting to meet with you. What you can do though is make them curious enough to go, oh, we got to go meet this guy because now I'm curious, like what is that or what could that be or what, where there's something there for them, even if they're not really sure exactly what it is to generate curiosity, because the first sale is to get their time. That's the first sale no matter what. And that applies to this has been such to be able to sell outside of the DJ space and sell premium price coaching, like I sold premium price entertainment. I was like, oh my gosh, nothing's different. Like I thought it was all because of the industry. It's not. It's not. You've got to really up your game in terms of your ability to communicate and connect authentically if you're going to sell at a premium price in your industry, fill in the industry.
So I want to come to the conference and I'm thinking about doing the sales conversation workshop. And I'm a crackerjack salesman. I do lots of sales. I sell premium. I do really, really well. What am I going to hear from you that I don't already know? Is there something, in other words, is there a perspective? Is there a thing? Is there a level of expertise I have to be at or lower? Does it have to be the young guys that never done it? And or do I have to be the guy who's been doing it for 20 years? I mean, is there something for me, regardless of where I am, or who's the guy who's going to come and really get a lot?
Absolutely. I can boldly say that if people who take this workshop take away one thing and really work it, forget the workshop, even that come to my keynote session, they take one thing away and they really work it. Because this isn't rocket science. This isn't like, oh, that's hard to do, but it is hard to do. Like when we talk about like how you listen and how you create an inquiry, or how you what questions you actually prepare, that sort of thing, right? It's you actually prepare and then you actually work it. We break it down into three things. There's what there is to craft, what there is to practice, and what there is to memorize. And so you craft the language, you memorize the language, so it's always there at your disposal. And then what there is to practice is being really present and connecting and really getting what's going on over there with them, and being able to mirror and confirm, is this your concern, Bill? Is this what really matters to you? So you're telling me that's really important. Okay, this is how I can take that really important moment and make that the most amazing thing ever. Well, let's just talk about that, right? And focus in on those things. And so it doesn't matter at any level. Somebody could be the greatest salesperson in the world, and they're going to come away with something that's going to make their job even easier and even close even more sales. In fact, it'll probably even improve the experience that the people have with them in their sales conversation, and they'll be able to pick it up quicker because there's so much in this. It's there's a lot in it. And what we're going to focus on in the workshop is we're really going to focus in on the inquiry. We're going to be focusing on having a set of questions you can use at networking events, you can use at your expos, that you can use at your in your sales conversations, that you use in all those spaces. So that will create curiosity, draw people in, and attract them into a conversation with you. Versus, hey, we got a great deal. You want to talk to me? Hey, treating them like a chicken running by, like, I'm going to get you, kind of thing.
When you say in the inquiry, you're talking about when someone first wants to know, so what is it that you do?
Yeah.
Okay. That's and I wanted to be real clear about that. So this is great, and I can speak from experience because Jason and I have known each other for a long time, and we've worked out our processes going back and forth with each other since we met each other.
Well, I could say the very first version of this workshop was with the entertainment experience when we did selling the experience. Mm-hmm. That was the really first, and it's just been enhanced with lots of science, lots of studying, lots of workshops, and then people trying things and using it, all of those things. So it's kind of gone to just a whole nother level.
Well, and what I was trying to say is, this is tried and tested. In other words, we ran out in the world with this. We failed miserably with this as we were trying to learn how it works and what doesn't. And then when you ran with it with your seminars and your coaching business and all the things you've been doing, what you've created beyond that is amazing. And I know from my experience that 3 hours with Jason Jones won't be enough, okay, when it comes to that workshop. So if you can have the time, if you're going to spend some extra money while you're at the out in Las Vegas, and you want to really up your game, as people like to say, and upping your game most times comes from looking at what you're doing from a brand new perspective, from somebody else's trained mind, and you're going to get that.
Well, Bill, here's if I can offer a way to look at it, right? Yeah. This workshop will likely give you the greatest financial return on the $100 that you spend. Because aside from all the other stuff that I was talking about and the tools and how to use them, and they're going to be in your context, they're going to be ready for you to use, not just kind of ideas of stuff you could do, but you'll have your questions. You're also going to have a process to use, a step-by-step process you can take away and start using in your sales conversations. And studies show that not only the studies and past clients have demonstrated by just having their sales teams start to use a process, okay? Start using it. They saw sales increase by 25%.
That's
not pie in the sky, Bill. That's not like, whoa, man, that's crazy. How is that even possible? It's just, that's how much of a difference a process only makes. Now, have it be a process that's actually tied to things that we know about how other people respond and react and how your buyer is to empower you. Add it with that, well, like you come up with the math, you know, it makes a profound difference. And then it's just up to you to practice it.
Now, see, this has only been a half an hour with Jason Jones. And trust me, when you come to the DJNTV show in coordination with the Photo Booth Expo, that's going to be February 24th, 25th, 26th in Las Vegas at the South Point Hotel. You haven't got your tickets already, be sure to get them, because especially in February in Las Vegas, way cheaper to go to Las Vegas in February.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And then
I can't wait.
Got some amazing deals. But you want to come to this. You want to shake the guy's hand. You want to see him on stage for his keynote. But I'll tell you, if you want some secret sauce, an extra $99 is going to send you home with something that's going to change your pocketbook, much less the way you look at the world or the way you look at your business, or just there's a transformational thing that will happen if you're a part of this. And that's coming from me. This has been the Presenter Spotlight. This happens several times a week until February. And this, of course, is just one of the presenters, the many presenters that are going to be at the DJNTV show out in Las Vegas. If you want to know more about how to get tickets for that show, or how to get tickets for Jason's workshop, mastermind, or anybody else's, you can go to djntv.com/tickets. I'm Bill Herman. That's Jason Jones. And I'll see you next time on Presenter Spotlight.